Hey there, everybody. Another year has come and gone, and for another year, an amazing time at Too Many Games. I just thought I'd, show off all of the stuff that I bought, but first I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that happened. It was just, like I said, once again, an amazing time. The the people were just great. It was I love to get in there and meet people. It's funny because I'm actually really introverted. Normally, when I go somewhere, I'm very quiet and I just kind of stand around and just I like to observe, just see what's going on. I don't really interact with people right off the bat until I go to conventions, especially Too Many Games. I love getting in there. I love meeting people, having good conversations about all of it, really. Whether it's about retro games that I really love and really feel like I can add something to the conversation, or whether I walk up to somebody and they're having a conversation about comic book characters, which I've gotten out of comic books a lot, and I can listen to them go on about just all of this stuff and just character history and things like that, and I can just listen to it, and it's so interesting to me. And even then, when it comes to the video games, I still, there's I don't think it's possible to know everything about video games. So it's easy for me to just listen to what other people are talking about and always learn something new. I love doing that stuff, and which is weird for me because it's just normally not what I end up doing. I love seeing all of the cool stuff that's there. I'm sure you guys have seen pictures. I know there's a lot of videos and pictures out there before, unless you yourself were there. If in which case, I hope I saw you. I hope I shook your hand or something like that. There's always so much cool stuff there. If you're looking for it, it's probably there. I can tell you there were a couple small things that I didn't find that I was hoping to see, I got most of the stuff that I was looking for, and it's just there's so much more. We kept saying to each other, "Did you get everything that you needed? Were you able to find the stuff that you needed?" And most of us said the same thing. I didn't need a lot of it. There weren't a whole lot of things that I was looking for to complete my collections or anything like that. But I wanted so much of it. And that's pretty much, I guess that's always going to be the thing. I guess that's always going to be the way with it. I can go on eBay right now and see the same thing. I can see tons of things that I want, but nothing that I necessarily need as far as finishing collections or stuff that I want to use for playthroughs or anything like that. As the atmosphere was just fantastic as always. I've been to some conventions where I don't feel like everybody else is having a good time, and that you feed off of that. But once again, the atmosphere there was just terrific. It actually caught me a little bit more than usual. I actually got caught up in a few more things than I usually do. I actually danced with Mario. I normally, like I said, I'm an introvert. I'm usually very, I don't like putting myself out there, and it seems so vulnerable to do something silly in public. And last year I started trying to cosplay a little bit, and I think that helped a lot as far as you put on the outfit and you go outside in public, and a lot of people don't cosplay, myself included, because or for a time myself included, because I thought oh, it's gonna look weird. I'm gonna go out there and people are gonna say something or look at me strange. And after I started doing it, I realized, yeah, they're gonna look at you strange, but who cares? So I got caught up in a little bit of that more this year, even outside of the cosplay. So I think I was in cosplay when I did it though, but I danced with Mario, and that to me is like it's like a step. You know what I mean? It's like a step as far as interacting with people a lot more openly. So I was very very happy for that. I actually did I won't say I did a lot of tabletop gaming, but I've always wanted to do tabletop gaming, and I actually played two tabletop games this year. I picked up Boss Monster, which is a pretty cool game. I think I want to try and play that a little bit more. And I played Firefly Shiny Dice, which was definitely a learning experience. I played it with this guy Russ, the Opaque Senator, if anybody's familiar with him, and this other kid Barry, and I didn't mean to say that like like it was weird. It's just his name was Barry, and that was a pretty cool game. So I got to play a couple more tabletop games than I normally do, which is two more than zero. I also got to do a couple of panels. We went to the Some Call Me Johnny panel, the Brain Scratch panel. We also went to Gerard the Completionist, which was actually a very, very good panel. I think it was him and Pro Jared, and that was a very cool panel. Like they were very energetic, and they that's another one of those where, obviously if you go to a panel it's because you want to be there, so normally it's a pretty good energy, but it just felt great to be, everybody was just having a really good time, and that was terrific. I meant to go to a few more, and I got locked out of a couple because they were just full. So I missed Pat the NES Punk's live CU broadcast, the podcast. So I was kind of bummed out about missing that. But other than that, it was a good time for that. And it's the panels are one of those things that I always want to do more, and unfortunately, you have to stop doing some of the other stuff that you love. That's the biggest problem with conventions, is that there's so much to do. You kind of have to pick and choose what you do, and you have to miss it, and you have to miss some other things. That's why I always tell people to go at least once to a convention. But if you do, you're probably going to want to go several more times, because you're going to want to at least experience some of these things. I missed the cosplay wrestling. I found out that was going on about halfway through when I was headed off to somewhere else. So unfortunately I missed that. I did see some footage of it, and it looks hilarious. I think I want to make a strong effort to go next year. I like that it's on Saturday, so I can go in costume, because I only take my costume Saturday all day, and then Sunday I get dressed a couple hours before the cosplay contest, which the cosplay contest was actually very cool, a little better organized. They broke it down into male and female hero, male and female villain, team, and overall. So that it worked out very well. They got everybody along really quick, which was definitely a plus, so that you can get back onto the floor. My biggest problem with the cosplay contest is that it's on Sunday. I kind of wish it was on Saturday, so do that Saturday 6 o'clock or so that you can wear your costume and get the whole day in on Saturday and go to the contest, and so more people can see it. There are definitely more people there Saturday than Sunday. And I think it would be cool if it was on. I guess the idea is that it's a big event, so the after party is for Saturday, and then the cosplay contest is for Sunday, and it draws people into both days. I personally, I don't think anybody's going to not go Sunday just because of it. I think Saturday would just be a little bit busier. Once again, we went to the hotel that we were at. Was a great room. This time there were a lot more people, and it was such a blast. It was great to have everybody in there hanging out and stuff. And it was us, and then the people in the room adjacent to us, where they had the door that connects the two hotel rooms. We knew them too, so we were able to every once in a while go back and forth, and that was just a really good time. I love it when everybody can get together. It was like we had a convention over here, and then we have another one over here. Uh, it's a fun time. It's definitely a lot of fun to go with people. Normally it's just about 5 or 6 of us, and this time in the room I think it was somewhere between 17 and 20 people, which gets a little claustrophobic at times. I won't lie about that, but all of that aside, it's just a fun time. It's basically another party that doesn't end. It's like Magfest, but half of it's here, half of it's there. That's about it as far as me just talking about the convention. Like I said, it was just an amazing time. Good time with good friends, and I recommend going. I know that at this point it's like a broken record. If you can go, you're probably already planning on going. If you can't go, it's usually because of a reason that you can't get around. But if you can't, then my recommendation, like always, is to see if there's something like that around you. So, if travel distance is an issue, a lot of the times there's something closer. Look up mass transit. A lot of people don't realize that mass transit will get you to some of these things. I didn't know until a few years ago that our local mass transit will get you all the way to the convention center, to Oaks, PA. It's quite a ride. I'm not going to lie to you. It's quite a ride. But if it's worth it to me, if you can leave your house at 7 o'clock in the morning, get there by 10, spend as much time as you can at the convention, leave the convention around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, get home, and you've had a full day at a convention, and there's no reason you weren't able to go, other than you just deciding you didn't want to go. It's definitely something that you can do. If you can't get to Oaks, find a convention in your area, find a game store in your area, find somewhere where us geeks like to meet up and be geeky together, because that's really what it's all about. And without further ado, I'm going to show off a few of the things that I bought. I think I went a little bit light this year. Unfortunately, the money was a little bit tight. I would rather save my money to make sure that I'm able to go to the trip than save my money to buy games, but I have to do it on eBay because I didn't want to go and spend money on a hotel room and travel and food for the weekend. I definitely take the fun time over the fun stuff. So here's some of the stuff that I got. Okay, so this is everything I got. I also got a Super Nintendo power plug and a Nintendo AV, which is the one for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, and GameCube. The power plug was actually not working though, and the AV is just an AV, so I figured it wasn't really important to show here. I think the power plug does it powers on, but it's for Super Nintendo and Virtual Boy. So I'm wondering if there's some sort of an issue with that. So I'll look online and see if I can find anything else about it. So basically we're going to go top to bottom here. First thing is the pass that we had, which is we got guest passes. So they have Tingle on them. I'm not super happy about that. But it's still, it's a cool looking pass. The other one, the Link one, was very cool, which was the hero one that you got if you got the 3-day pass or if you got the day pass. Final Fantasy 12, I've always wanted to play and just never, I don't think I've ever actually owned it. So I picked that up. Resident Evil 0 I got along with the Game Boy Advance as part of a trade. I have played this game before, I think I had borrowed it from somebody, so now I have my own copy. Boss Monster, this is the tabletop game that we played. It's a card game. It's actually really cool. You are a monster and you use your cards to build a dungeon that you use to defeat heroes. Bowser's Inside Story, the only Mario and Luigi game I think I ever played was Superstar Saga, and my buddy Bruce told me that this was an awesome game, and then as I was showing it to people when we were showing it off, by showing off what we got, a couple other people told me that they also really love this game, so I feel like I made a good choice with that one. This game is Future Cop LAPD. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the book, so hopefully I can miraculously find that book later. But this is actually a very cool game. This was one of those games that when I worked at a game store, we would play bad games or what we thought were bad games, and then 3 hours later we're still playing it. We actually had a really good time with it. So I always kind of wanted it, and I figure I might play it and show it off just so everybody can see, there are some very decent budget titles out there. Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition and Dr. Robotnik Mean Bean Machine. To be 100% honest, the reason I bought those games is because I have the box and the instructions for them, and I mostly just wanted to complete them. Street Fighter, Street Fighter, and Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, I think, was a game called, it's basically just Puyo Pop. Somebody can correct me on that if that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's just the same kind of game. Kirby's Tilt and Tumble, this was my last purchase of the convention. And my last purchase was almost a different game, which I would have been very happy with. But I saw Kirby's Tilt and Tumble, and I had the pink Game Boy Advance. And I said, you know what? I got to put it all together. It's just a perfect set. Thunder Spirits for Super Nintendo. This is a shooter. I think this was Lightning Force on the Genesis, which ultimately was Thunder Force 3 or 4. Again, somebody can correct me on that. I'm pretty sure this is also Lightning Force. Excuse me. I'm pretty sure this is also Lightning Force, but I think that was actually Thunder Force 4. Illusion of Gaia. Now, I have this game already. The guy offered me I wanted to buy the box and the instructions from the guy because I only had the cart. He offered me the chance to buy the whole thing for a lower price. So I bought the whole thing for a lower price, and then I sold the cartridge to somebody else. So this is just the box and the instructions here, but I already have the game. So now I have the game complete. The Game Boy Advance, like I already showed, was part of a trade that I got with the Resident Evil. Super Bomberman 2. The reason I brought this was because I knew there was going to be a lot, or bought this, I should say. I knew there was going to be a lot of us in the room, and I figured I'll bring my Super Nintendo, I'll bring my multi-tap, and then I'll buy one of the Bomberman games there, and we can play some Bomberman. Lo and behold, my Super Nintendo was crapping out on me, and I wasn't able to play it all weekend. So I brought it back home. I think I think the big problem was the power plug that I had bought from there. So I'm gonna try and get another power plug and see if I can figure out what to do. But when I got home, I had another power plug here. I tested it out, and everything works fine. All of this has been, all of the Super Nintendo games and Nintendo games and all have been tested. Most of these are all pretty clean and sharp, so they should work just fine. Star Fox is one of those games I'd beaten multiple times, owned it a long time ago, and just don't know what happened to my copy. So I finally managed to buy another copy. I would have preferred it with the box and the instructions, but just the cartridge is totally fine. Lufia 2, this was going to be my last purchase of the convention. I managed to find it for a very good price. So it's if you don't want to go to the conventions to shop under the premise that everybody's got everything for a whole bunch of money, trust me, go to the convention because you'll be surprised. You'll find some stuff for good deals. I think the Thunder Spirits box and instructions, fantastic game. Cartridges in fantastic shape, $20. You know, there are some things out there that are definitely worth it. You know, Bowser's Inside Story, for as much as everybody said that they loved it, it was $17. You know, that's a great deal. You definitely can't beat that. And if you go to a store, you'll pay $30 just because it's a game that's out of print. You know, but Lufia 2 was a terrific game, and that's, you know, a terrific game at a good price. The label's a little torn, but believe me, that's not high up on my list of importance with the game. And last thing was Wrecking Crew for the NES. I want to collect all the Black Label games, so I think at least once when I go to something like this, I'll pick up a new Black Label game. I have most of them, but I'm missing some of the high-end ones. Donkey Kong Jr. Math, and there's another one that usually sells for a good amount of money. And, I mean, you know, good amount of money as in 10 or 15 bucks, but I don't like to weigh myself down and buy a bunch of stuff that's a little high end. I love the 3 for $10 and stuff like that. So every once in a while I'll pick up one of those, and at some point I'll have them all complete. But that's my haul. I want to thank everybody for watching this long video, which I think went a little bit longer than I was expecting it to. And hopefully I will see you next year at TooManyGames or whatever the next convention is. Unfortunately, I think my convention season might be done for this year, so if I see you at all, it'll be at MagFest next year. But take it easy, guys, and have a good night.